Right then, the top 10 worst, scummiest airports. I've been to so many bad airports, but in this list we're going to look at the worst of the worst. So let's get this started, and let's start off with number 10, which is Bilbao. Now, Bilbao Airport isn't that bad, but I'm including it anyway to make a point about this airport that you can't buy the regular public transport tickets at the airport, which is just so infuriating. Now, Bilbao isn't the only one that does this, but I just want to make a point of this. Now, alternatively, there are other airports where public transport is very expensive, where it's stupid, overpriced airport shuttles. Now, Bilbao doesn't have this. You can just use the regular public transport. So you might think, oh, that's all good then. There's no expensive shuttle buses. But no, you can't buy the regular public transport ticket from the airport. Instead, you can only buy a one-off single ticket, which is much more expensive than the Oyster card style single tickets that they have, which is infuriating. There's no reason why they can't sell the Oyster card style tickets from the airport. Why do I have to make you buy the silly one-off ticket, which are like 3 times more expensive? There's no reason other than to try and make money out of tourists that have just arrived at the airport. Number 9, Warsaw Modeling. Now, Poland usually has very good airports, very modern, very fast, and nothing bad about them. And the best thing about most Polish airports is you can get on the regular public transport from the airport. You don't have to get on silly overpriced transport, and public transport in Poland is very cheap. Well, this is not the case for Warsaw Modeling. The main public transport in Warsaw is 2 zones, Zone 1 and Zone 2, the wider zone, but the airport's outside of that, so it needs a special public transport ticket. And to go on public transport is a bit painful because you have to get a bus to the train station, then a long wait for a train, then a slow train into Warsaw. But there is the overpriced expensive bus which they try and persuade you to go on. It's this sort of thing I really hate about airports. And also, Warsaw Modeling is tiny. It looks like a bloody motorway services, but actually, correction, it's even smaller than the motorway services. And it is very crowded in there, and security is very slow. And now, number 8, which is Oslo Main Airport. Now, as well as Oslo Main, there's also Oslo Torp. And Oslo Torp must be very painful to go to because it's so far from Oslo, and when you land in the airport, the train into Oslo will be very, very expensive. But I haven't been to Torp, so let's talk about Oslo Main. And even though this is close to Oslo, it's still bloody expensive to get a train from the airport into Oslo. It is so crazily expensive. And Ryanair often sells £5 tickets to this airport. Isn't that nice? A cheap trip to Oslo. Well, no, it's not. The train ticket will cost many, many times the price of your airplane ticket. The trains are so expensive, and even though the regular trains are really expensive, there's also the Airport Express train, which is crazy expensive. But the worst thing about it is it's no faster than the regular trains at Oslo. So why do I even have the Airport Express train? Number 7, FrankfurtHahn. Luckily, Ryanair now flies to Frankfurt Main as well as FrankfurtHahn, so you don't have to endure the absolute pain of landing at Hahn. It is a horrid airport. The airport looks like just a motorway services in England. It's a little boring building, but when you land there, you are forced to take this exclusive bus that has an exclusive contract to take people from Hahn to Frankfurt, and it is overpriced. Very overpriced. And it's such a rubbishy airport, and the times are so bad. When one time I was coming back from Hahn, I had to go on a bus 3 o'clock in the morning from Frankfurt itself to get to the airport. It's ridiculous. And to make things even worse, Frankfurt-Hahn Airport is closer to Bonn than it is to Frankfurt, and it's also closer to Luxembourg than it is to Frankfurt. So how do they get away with calling it Frankfurt-Hahn? Number 6, Naples. Naples Airport is bad because you can't get on the public transport from Naples Airport. There's no way to get tickets for regular buses into town. Later on, when I learned more about Naples public transport, you sort of learn where the cheaper public transport is to get into town. But from the airport, there's absolutely nowhere you can buy a ticket for the regular public transport ticket, and nowhere will even tell you about a public transport. So you arrive in Naples and you're trapped with no knowledge and no method to get into Naples other than some ridiculous overpriced shuttle bus which costs far too much. Naples Airport is the only airport I've ever been to where me and my mum actually decided we were going to walk into town. The public transport system was such a scam, we were not putting up with it, and that shows how bad it is. Number 5, Stockholm. Now, I'm not talking about the main Stockholm airport. I'm talking about the other 2 cheapskate Stockholm airports that are 50 miles out of Stockholm, yet Ryanair still counts them as Stockholm. Now, this one might be a little bit unfair on my list because I've never actually been to these to experience them, but I'm still including them in the list because of the utter cheek. 50 miles out of the city, and they're still calling it Stockholm. And knowing what Sweden prices is like, the bus from these airports into town is going to cost more than the price of the airplane ticket to these airports. Utterly ridiculous. Number 4, Athens. Athens Airport, a nice modern day airport, is a scam because there is no way to avoid the stupid taxes on public transport. If you were to go one stop out of Athens Airport on the train and go from that stop into Athens, you can get on the regular cheap public transport tickets, but just the extra couple of miles from one stop away from the airport to the airport itself costs ridiculous amounts of money for a tiny distance. It is so stupidly overpriced because of the stupid tax, and there's no way to really avoid this. The bus into town is stupidly overpriced. To get a train from the airport into town is stupidly overpriced. And if you've got lots of luggage, walking up to the nearest stop away from the airport, walk one stop out, is slightly too far. But you can get a taxi, and ridiculously, getting a taxi from Athens Airport to one metro stop away to avoid the expensive metro ticket is actually the cheapest method of doing it. But even then, the taxi is still expensive because the taxis had to add on an extra tax for taking to the airport. There is literally no escape route in Athens. There's no cheap public transport option to get into town. No matter what option you take, you're going to have to buy an overpriced, taxed bit of public transport. Number 3, Rome Chapino. This airport is bad because they utterly scam you. When you arrive at the airport, there's loads of people all pushing you to get on the ridiculous overpriced bus into town, despite the fact you can just get a regular public transport ticket. But the people there properly hide this. If you talk to anyone at the airport, they all push hard to make you buy the expensive overpriced bus, despite the fact you can buy a regular metro ticket, get a bus to the nearest metro station and get a metro into town just at regular public transport prices. But if the people around the airport see you attempting to use the machine to buy that ticket, they'll come and tell you that ticket is not allowed. You have to buy the expensive direct overpriced shuttle bus, even though what they're saying to you is complete utter lies. So be very careful of the scammers at Rome airports. Number 2, Stansted. Stansted is very high up his list because it is utterly awful. Yeah, Stansted has the cheapest flight prices in the whole of the United Kingdom, meaning that if you want cheap flights, you're forced to have to go through the misery of Stansted Airport. It is so bad, and there's no cheap ways to get into London. If you go by train, it's the overpriced Stansted Express. If you go by coach, also expensive. And if you go by car and have the absolute awful paid of parking at airports, the price of parking will cost more than the price of your entire holiday. The prices are appalling. How can this airport even be so bad? And then, to make matters worse, if you want to take a flight from Stansted, you have to go through their horrible long security process that is long, painful and thoroughly miserable. Then after that, you have to walk around the shop. A very long, annoying, painful shop full of utter rubbish, very overpriced. They have the cheek to claim their shops cheaper than normal shops when it's so stupidly overpriced. There's nothing cheap you can buy. If you're anywhere near the airport, you cannot buy a single thing cheap. If you go to Burger King, you have to pay premium airport prices. If you go to any of their other shops, you pay premium prices. You should have all your food you want before you go in, because do not have to rely on buying anything at Stansted because it will be far above the prices you should pay. And what makes Stansted even worse is painfully having to sit around waiting in the awful tent-like building. Has a horrible smell to it. I'd like to say avoid Stansted, but you can't because that's where all of the cheap flights go from. So as we're talking about Stansted, let's just take a moment to compare it to the other London airports. Now the other airports from London you can use is Gatwick, and Gatwick is a much nicer airport. It has a very pleasant atmosphere to it, security's nice and fast, and the airport just feels like a nice place. Now there is the stupid overpriced Gatwick Express to get to London, but you don't have to take it, so you can just take a regular train. Another airport is Luton Airport. Luton Airport is quite a small airport, but it's reasonably quick and there's nothing that much wrong with it, and there's no overpriced trains into London. You could just use the regular Thames link. Another airport is Heathrow. Now Heathrow is the best London airport because security is very fast. But Heathrow is a very, very expensive airport. There is the stupid overpriced Heathrow Express to get into London, but there's no point using a Heathrow Express because you've got the Underground and you're now going to get Crossrail, which are far better value for money. So, now on to number 1. What do you think is the worst airport I've ever been to? Well, before we talk about number 1, let's first talk about the best airports I've been to. And the best airports I've been to are Malta. Malta's a particularly nice airport. It's got a nice area to view the planes and it just feels really pleasant and non-airport like. It is very, very nice. Also, Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a particularly friendly, nice airport and it's really quick to get to your plane. And then Germany. Pretty much all of Germany's airports, apart from Hahn, are very, very quick. You just walk in the airport, you get through security really fast, and you're from starting your process of getting to your flight to your plane in about 10 minutes or less in most German airports. They are so quick. So, now finally, what is the number 1 worst airport I've ever been to? The answer, Elat Ovda. The painful, horrid experience of flying from this airport is so bad, and even arriving at it's bad, because when you arrive, there's no way to get Israel money for the bus, and the bus refuses to take card. There's no cash point machines. There's no way at all of getting money, apart from the exchange booth. I wanted to take my English bank card, withdraw United States dollars from it, and then convert those to Israel money, which is such an utter piss take. And then they all say that my cards didn't work, and I was almost trapped at that stupid airport. Then departing, you have to arrive 3 hours before the flight. That is ridiculous. How can you have to arrive 3 hours before? Then a long, painful security process. They give you an interview, rate what sort of person you are. I got 6. Oh, I must be a terrorist. Then you have to go through a first set of x-raying of your bags for customs purposes. Then your bag, despite the x-rays, is always completely taken apart and they search everything. Then if you got a 6, you have to go for your extra interview. Then after that, background, another x-ray of your bags. Then, only then, do you get to the counters of the airlines, and then after that you finally get through to the area where you wait, which is a very dull, miserable little tent you have to wait in for your flight. It's horrible, but Elat Ovda has closed down because it's been replaced with a new Elat airport, which is a good thing. And that is the end of the video.